What up? Correct. If the interval was 0 to 9, you would have the cube root. Well, cube root of -1 is legal. If square root of -1, you can't. But cube root of -1 is -1. So cube root is the domain is all real numbers. But if it was a square root, you're right, that would be problematic. Okay, we look at example 3 then. We have a rational function. First, we need to identify f of b and f of a. What is f of b? Oh, those who were gone yesterday, actually everybody, why don't we make sure we write this down on top? This is what we're doing right now. We're basically solving this equation. Mean value theorem says that f of b minus f of a over b minus a is equal to f prime of c for some c that exists in the interval ab. Correct? So that's what we're going for. So we need, yeah, you can type in your calculator, you just plug it in. So 4, so you got 2 over 7, right? Minus, plug in -2, and you got, come on, folks, what do we got? We plug in -2, 2 over 1, which is 2, divided by b minus a. 4 right here, 4 plus 3 is 7. Very good. So I have 2 over 7 minus 2, or 2 over 7 minus 14 over 7, which would be -12 sevenths, divided by 4 plus 2 is 6, so 6 over 1, multiplied by the reciprocal. -12 over 6 reduces to -2. So I have -2 sevenths. What does that mean? What did I come up with? That's my slope. Average rate of change, thank you, is equal to -2 sevenths. And then my point on my line, that's what I have to find right now, right? Because I want to actually write an equation for a line. So how do I do that, Hannah? Yeah, it says the derivative is equal to the average rate of change. We want to find where that occurs, what c value that occurs at. So therefore, I'll take the derivative of 2 over x plus 3. How do you take the derivative of 2 over x plus 3? Quotient rule, or make it easier on yourself and use the chain rule. So derivative of the inside is 1. Derivative of the outside, -2 over x plus 3 quantity squared. Set that equal to what? How do we solve that? You guys are smart. Cross multiply. -2 times x plus 3 squared is equal to -14. Divide by -2. X plus 3 quantity squared is equal to 7. That's what the mean value term says. Take the slope, set it equal to the derivative in order that we would find c, the point at which the instantaneous rate of change is the same as the average rate of change. Okay. Just one line. So on your worksheet, we come up with 2. Then we don't want to do that. But let's look and see what you get. So you brought up a good point, Hannah. It looks like we have 2 solutions here, correct? And that makes sense that we would have 2 solutions. Because we got a quadratic. And if you look at the graph that we looked at earlier, come on, here we go. Go calculator. Give me 5 more seconds. I would have had that problem done already. I'm kidding. No, this is a bunch of gibberish up there, actually. So you guys, so that's been a good thing. Good, it's good for you. So we check this out. We've got our calculator. I type in -3 minus the root of 7, -5.65. Is that in my interval? It's not in my interval. So what should I do? Yeah, so -3 plus the root of 7 is -0.35 in the interval. Yep, so -0.35 is the x value or the c value, however you want to think of it, that satisfies that. Yes. You can just do one, that's fine. Yep, yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to, instead of graphing the entire function, just graph a piece of it. So if you have your calculator, you're going to want to do this, but take 2 divided by the quantity x plus 3, and then I can restrict it so that instead of showing the entire graph, it just shows for the domain from -2 to +4. And here's what I do. I go divided by, and then I put in my domain restrictions. Parentheses, x has to be what? It's greater than or equal to what? So in the test menu, number 4 is greater than or equal to -2. And I do another divided symbol. How does x compare to 4? So I'll let you catch up. It's second math, which is your test menu. And so now it will just show the piece of the function instead of the entire deal. Eli has asked this question. Alex has asked this question. So it's something that I wanted to figure out, and this works out really well. No, because we just want the interval, and I'll show you what's really cool about it, okay? First of all, how do I come up with this y value? I plug it in. So if you go calculate a value, and you can see right now, I just get part of the graph, which is kind of cool, isn't it? But I'm going to plug in -0.35. And I get a y value of 0.75. And I now write my equation for my line. The slope is, so y minus 0.75 equals -2/7 times x plus 0.35. So -2 divided by 7. I'm going to multiply that by 0.35. And then it looks like I'm going to add 0.75. So I get 0.65. So y equals -2/7x plus 0.65. Now, here's what's so cool, because Colton was asking this question yesterday, so was Hannah. We've got -2 divided by 7 times x, and we're going to go plus 0.65. And I'm going to change my window just a little bit here. I'm going to go a max to 3. Look at my graph. Just shows that segment, and then look at the tangent line. If I were to connect the endpoints of that graph, would it be parallel to that line? Yes, that's the whole idea. The average rate of change over the interval is the same as the slope of that tangent line. And we did guarantee that there was a spot right here where the derivative was the same as the average rate of change. That's the whole piece of what we're doing. And so, again, what you should do is just make a quick sketch of that. It doesn't have to be a lot of work, but just a general idea that you at least checked your answer. Again, I've talked about, previous people who have excelled in mathematics. one way in which they excel is they say, I'm going to figure out a way to check my answer. Now, your thought is, well, if I want to check my answer, I'll just check the answer key. What if there's not an answer key? What if you're the teacher making the test? How do you verify that you sure did it correctly? Well, this is what I do. That's what I do, and it works out. That's fine. You do what you want, but I'm just saying provide some type of a sketch where you're able to convince yourself that the average rate of change is the same as the instantaneous rate of change. Now, one more thing that nobody brought up that I want you to see, if you take 2 divided by the quantity x plus 3, and I'm going to graph that for all numbers, there's one more piece I want you to see there, okay? True or false? The derivative of that graph is always negative. True. So look, we had one spot where it's negative 2/7, say right here at negative 0.35. Is there another spot where it's equal to negative 2/7? Yeah, right here, right? That was at our negative 5.65 or whatever we came up with before, right? And so we didn't want that one because it wasn't in our interval. But that's why it came up with 2 of them. So the calculus accounts for that, which is, pretty cool. Okay. All right, let's try one that involves trigonometry. Okay, well, at least get started here. We have 0 to 3 pi. So f of x is 3 sine of x over 2 from 0 to 3 pi. I plug in b. What is, so I have 3 pi over 2. What's the sine of 3 pi over 2? What's the sine of 270 degrees? Negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. Minus, we plug in 0. What's the sine of 0? 0 times 3 is 0. Divided by 3 pi minus 0, and I get negative 3 over 3 pi, which is negative 1 over pi. We better convert to a decimal. Negative 1 divided by pi, and I get negative 0.32. So your slope is equal to negative 0.32. What do I do now? Find the derivative, use the chain rule. So chain rule, what's my inside? Yeah, x over 2, which is the same as 1/2 x, right? What's the outside? 3 sine of u. What's the derivative of 3 sine of u? Yeah, positive 3 cosine. And the derivative of 1/2 x? 1/2. So I didn't write it as 1/2 x the first time, and people in calculus were a little bit confused of how we came up with 1/2, but that's why. So our answer is 3 over 2 times the cosine of x over 2. And we're going to set that equal to negative 0.32. How do I solve that? Of x over 2. How do I solve that? I got to solve for x. Yep. So negative 0.32 times 2 divided by 3 is negative 0.213. How do I get rid of the cosine? Multiply by the reciprocal to get rid of the 3/2. Yes. How do I get rid of the cosine? So I cosine inverse the answer. Make sure you're in radians. We get 1.79, we'll call it. So x over 2 is equal to 1.79. Go get some brain food. Come on back. We'll finish these 2 examples. You should have about 10 minutes of work time. So, all right. And we get 3.57, which is in our interval. We'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we got our x value of 3.57. is 3.57 in the interval? Well, because what's the value of 3 pi, approximately? 9 or something like that. So I'm going to plug in my function. We got 3 sine of x divided by 2. And I'm going to show only a certain portion of it. So divided by parentheses x test can be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, there we go. And I want to know the value at what? 3.57, and I get 2.93. You don't have to, but no, I just want you to see how you can check your answer. I want you to understand graphically what's happening. I think every time you see something in calculus, you should be able to think about the graph and the algebra. So we have y minus 2.93 is equal to, what's my slope? 8.32 times x minus 3.57. 4.07. And as I graph that, again, you can see that the equation for the tangent line has the same slope as the average rate of change right here. And again, free country, you think whatever you want. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I got from my window, I got -10, 12, -15. Yep, because it's a radical, and I want you guys to see how you do with a radical. Hannah, which one are you struggling with? Which one are you struggling with? Yeah. Just because you don't want to do it? So instead of you doing your homework, you would like me to do it for you. All right. Okay. I did 4 of them. I took these 4 off your study or off your worksheet. I reduced your worksheet by 4 problems. I reduced it by 4 problems. Your previous worksheet I would have given you had 20. There you go. All right, I'm lying. Okay, so let's do f of b minus f of a. You plug in 9, what do you get? Cubed root of 8 is times 2 is 4. Minus, plug in 1 and we get 0 over 9 minus 1. 4 over 8 is a half. So I've already got the slope. Now I just need the derivative. In order to find the derivative, I'm going to write this as 2 times x minus 1 to the 1/3 power. What's the derivative of the inside? 1. Derivative of the outside would be 2 times 1/3 or 2/3 times x minus 1 to the negative 2/3, right? So it'll be x minus 1 to the 2/3 in the denominator. How do we solve that? Cross multiply 3 times x minus 1 to the 2/3 is equal to 4. X minus 1 to the 2/3 is equal to 4/3. How do I get rid of a 2/3 exponent? Come on, you're my algebra geniuses. How do I get rid of a 2/3 exponent? I cross multiply. You would have to cube it and then square root it, right? Which is the 3/2 power. So in order to get rid of an exponent, you raise it to the reciprocal power. In order to get rid of a squared, we raise it to the 1/2. In order to get rid of a 4th power, you raise it to the 1/4. In order to get rid of a 1/3, you cube it, whatever the reciprocal is. So I got to take 4/3 to the 3/2. 4 divided by 3, I'll raise that to the 3 divided by 2. And I get 1.54. So 2.54 is my x value. Now I got to come up with the y value. Oh, I can't quite see everything. Let me change the window. We'll go up to, I don't know, 7. That's better. Oh, you can kind of see that segmented portion of the graph. And we want to calculate the value of 2.54. Yep. So that's my point on my line. Is 2.54 in the interval? Yes. Is 1/2 in the interval? Doesn't matter because that's a slope. Very good. All right, so y minus 2.31 is equal to m 1/2 times x minus 2.54. One half x plus 1.04. There it is. Yo. So you would have come up with 0.1. You either made a mistake or the original conditions are not met, meaning that it must not be continuous over the interval or must not be differentiable over the interval. Or you made a mistake. Those are the only 3 options. Colton said, what if we get to the x equals 2.54 and it's not in the interval? Either you made a mistake or the function is not continuous or not differentiable over that interval. The mean value theorem guarantees that that must be the case. And it can be proved. You can take that class in college. Your assignment, do your worksheet.